right, welcome back, everyone, for another CBSI Hot 10 show. The boys can't make it this week because my schedule was kind of wonky, so I have to do this one by myself. So hopefully you guys don't mind just spending this list with me. Now, make sure you go over to comicbookinvest.com and check out the article where I might put a few extra details that I might not cover or might slip my mind as I'm running through this list by myself, but go check out the article over on the site if you can. Also, make sure you check out all the content we do have here on the channel. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, you hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And for those of you who have yet to try Whatnot, use my link below and get yourselves a free $15 on me to spend on whatever you want with whomever you want. I know there's a lot of stuff going on with New York Comic Con this weekend, so if you haven't given it a try, you're curious, now's your chance. Buy in with my money, the money you can get from me, and this way you don't have to risk your own. Again, you got nothing to lose, and you help out the channel here while you're at it. But if you're just in the market for your supplies, your bags, your boards, your boxes, top loaders, portfolios, whatever it might be, use the link, use my code RENA10, get yourself 10% off. Because you're going to be buying it anyway, might as well save some money while you're at it. So use that code RENA10. Now, with all of that said, if you want to see this week's lists, all you got to do is hang out for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back.
Notable sales.
All right, starting us off with our first notable sale, I gotta say I was surprised to see Amazing Spider-Man 101, a CGC 9.8, sell for an all-time high, $39,000 this week. That's a lot of money for Morbius. And also surprising with the timing of why now. It didn't happen during when his feature film was coming out, whether the lead up or upon release. It happens now. Sure, there's rumors that there might be a Sinister Six movie still in the works over at Sony, but is that enough to drive this to an all-time high? Or is it just Halloween time, spooky season, people want to buy their vampires, that somebody decided, you know what, $39K is where I'm going in? Because the last sale for a 9.8 was all the way back in April of 2023 and was only 26,000 plus. So there's a big gap between 26 and 39. So just saying, not sure why it hit that mark, but it did, and it was quite impressive. Also impressing me this week. Now, you guys are probably tired of hearing about Mark Spears monsters week after week after week, but keep selling. Keep selling. And I think the bit that's forgotten about is that despite KeenSpot having it now, this was a Kickstarter to start with, and there are a bunch of Kickstarter homage variants that are really interesting. I like this Marvel, the classic Marvel anniversary border and everything, but swapped out with horror-themed, icons, etc. This is a fun cover. I like this. Now, I don't know if I could buy in for $25 like this one did, but I like it. Not $325 like it, but I like it. 39 bids, too, at this one at auction for a raw copy, mind you. No idea what this might fetch if we're graded. There is another one that's actually up for auction right now. When I last looked yesterday, it was over $200, and it still had a couple days to go. So another copy is going to end over the weekend. We'll see where that mark hits, whether it's close, above, or below this 325 mark. But 325 is still impressive for a Kickstarter exclusive for one of these books because, wow, I mean, this train just keeps chugging along. It's just not stopping. But those were my notable sales for this week. I thought they were both interesting and both kind of tie in with the spooky season here. We had a Morbius and we got a Frankenstein. So, I mean, Halloween's upon us, and I'm getting excited. I don't know about you. But I'm also excited for the rest of our list. So let's not waste any time and just get right into it.
Number 10.
So, kicking us off with number 10, our first book here, we are going to be looking at a second print 1 in 25. You all know this is not my favorite thing in the world. I'm not a huge fan of the incentives on second prints, but I also understand that they are collectible. They're not always easy to find, and there are a bunch of people who aren't on board to buy these things. So I'm not surprised to see this one snag a little spot here at the bottom of the list. Beautiful cover here. Esad Ribic, if I'm saying his name properly. Not a ton of movement. I will admit there's not a ton of movement, only a handful of sales, averaging $58 though, which is always impressive for a 1 in 25 when we're talking about these second print incentives. A lot of these lately have been hitting more that $35 mark, so for this one to be almost at $60 is impressive, especially with that high $90 sale. I think I saw a 90, I think I saw an 80, so there were some high sales for this book, And remember, this one book, the regular first issue, was hot. It just seems like it was forever ago, right? It was the end of August, issue 1. Issue 2 still isn't due out until November 6th. I think that could be part of the problem or part of the reason why we're not seeing a bit more movement on this, because I think a lot of people have forgotten about this book because there's such a long gap between issues 1 and 2 that I think this just got forgotten about. We don't know where the rest of the series is going. I'm looking forward to it as far as a read goes, but it is interesting to see what happened with this 1 in 25 incentive this week, and I'm curious to see where it goes from here because, again, we got 2 weeks until issue 2 comes out, so I wouldn't be surprised to see this one again. But with that said, we're not going to belabor the point or linger there too long. We're going to move on to our next one.
Number 9.
And coming in at number 9, we have our top book from last week. Yes, last week was a rough week. It was a bit slow. Things kind of struggled for me to make sense of it, where things should belong, where they go. I am still surprised that this one is selling as well as it is. Yes, this was at the top of the heap last week, but I'm still surprised it earned enough to get back on the list, even at number 9, because we had another 20 or so sales, so another couple dozen sales, but the average price has gone up a little bit from last week, despite the fact that there are tons of these out there. It's now averaging 160 or more, with a high of 180 this last week. So that's a lot of big prices for this book, considering, again, there should be tons of these out there with all the exclusives that were available and the 200,000+ print run to begin with. You could do the math and figure it out for yourself of how many there should be out there, but it's just still chugging along and still doing well. So it earned a spot here at the bottom of the list. So we'll see where it goes from here and keep an eye on it in the weeks ahead. But with that, let's move on to our next book.
Number 8.
All right, our next one didn't take long. I mean, it was just yesterday, I believe, that the Marvel panel where they had announced a few new books, new titles coming our way, and one of them being a new event called Emperor Doom. So immediately, what did people do? They go dig in their boxes, they go search for any reference to that before, and they found this Marvel graphic novel 27, Emperor Doom, with this Bob Hall cover, starring the Mighty Avengers, and they ran out, found them, listed them, and started selling them as quickly as they possibly could. So already, a handful of sales that happened just over the last day or so. I mean, this news is only like 24 hours old or so, and we're already seeing it go for an average of $15, this forgotten about Marvel graphic novel. So it is oversized, it is prestige format, hitting highs of 30. We'll see where it goes from here, but I can't imagine it does much more than just kind of shares the name of what they're planning to do in the upcoming event, but who knows? Who knows? If you find one for cheap, it can't hurt to pick one up, but just be mindful of that and keep an eye on what you're doing. I think there's a few printings too. I think there's a second print and a recolored third print to keep an eye out for, but that's what's going on with Emperor Doom for now. So news makes things move pretty fast these days. And with that, let's get into our lucky next bit.
Number 7.
And with our lucky number 7, we're looking at some news out of Bad Idea, who has announced that they will be doing an adaptation of this mini-series from 2021 called The Lot. Mixing in some, it's The Lot based off of like filming, movie making, etc. So On the Lot, tying in some horror elements. I believe there was some like rituals and demons, etc. Tying in horror with movie making could be a key to success here. Could be something that is pretty popular. I don't know. I'm kind of curious. A lot of people, I think, are curious and might have forgotten about this book because it has been selling pretty well the last couple of days. Well, about the last day or so, mostly since the news was announced. We got those emails out of Bad Idea. But 40+ sales so far that I saw with a high of $20. Sets are also selling pretty well. And I know what you're saying, like, oh, that's not a lot of money, $20. But this was selling for less than cover if it was selling at all. Like sets were going for $10, like all 4 issues. So this has gone quickly from the cheap ones going to now we're getting to some higher asking prices. We'll see if this keeps trending in that direction or if this kind of dies down and that initial burst is over. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell with the indie options, but I am kind of curious to see where this one's going. But it's been a while since we heard from Bad Idea, and here they go, making the list here at number 7. So while we're done with that, let's move on to our next book and see what we got next.
Number 6.
Jon Stewart, off of the outside looking in last week and climbing his way onto the main list. Yes, the casting seems like good casting from all that most people could tell. I haven't heard a lot of complaints about the casting of Jon Stewart, and that is driving more and more sales of Green Lantern number 87. Already a classic book, already a pricey book to begin with. So we're not here so much to talk about the prices, but the kind of surge in volume. This is up over 200% last week's volume, because I think last week's volume was only like 8 sales, and now we've got about 20 this week. So a lot of buying, all different grades, all different kinds that they're getting. I know there's facsimiles too, so watch out for those. But the original first prints, as you can see here, a very good fine copy that somebody, they graded at a 5.0, sold for $240 this week for a raw copy. It looked decent, but that's what we're talking about. So those low to mid grades even are moving pretty well at a steady clip. So keep an eye out for that. And all you Jon Stewart fans are getting excited, as am I, to see where he might end up or how they might treat him in this upcoming HBO series. If it's anything close to what the Penguin is, it's going to be phenomenal, because the Penguin is great. But that's my opinion, and we'll leave that there and just keep rolling on with the top half of our list.
Number 5.
Mark Spears is on here again. Granted, I could have basically put any one of the regular covers on here if I wanted. Yes, the Bridezilla one from weeks ago is still selling well. Granted, it's still kind of staying in that $50 to $60 kind of range. It's not near those $100 plus prices that it hit weeks ago, but that's still a decent amount for a open order book. Cover A's are still selling well, and this is the cover B that I decided to put here, mostly because it slightly outpaces the C and D cover, which is the Hulk, the 340 homage and the Infinity Gauntlet homage, which also are selling close to 20 sales, but this B cover had a couple more, averaging $20 for all of them, or any of them, basically, these days, and hitting a high of $41. Second print is coming on the way. Issue 2 is still on the way, so we'll see what happens from here, but I don't know if it's just perfect timing with this time of the season, but Monsters just keeps moving week after week. It's all of the covers are now moving up in that upswing, despite the fact that the incentive books still seem to be kind of lagging behind. Like, some of them sell for less than some of the open order covers. I mean, I think the 1 in 50 could be had for well under ratio, but we'll see. Maybe eventually that changes. I don't know. But for now, all I'm telling you is the B cover is doing pretty well. Also getting that $20, like the C's and the D's are as well. So if you find any more out there on the shelves, still might be worth your time to pick one up. But with that, we are going to move on to our next book.
Number 4.
At number 4, we do have another repeat. Another book going on the list again, but climbing in the numbers and the charts on the list, despite the fact that Shinobi number 1 sold a lot less copies this week than they did last week. Granted, there aren't a lot of copies available either, so that's part of the problem here. There's not a lot of stock, and the prices on this have surged beyond where they were. I mean, yes, last week we had a high sale newsstand of $80. Now, any copy is averaging about $80, whether it be direct or a newsstand, and a newsstand hit a high of $150 this week. Yeah, that's what that high 150 is. It was actually another newsstand that sold for that price. But again, only like a half dozen sold or so not a ton of volume. But like I said, you go looking, there's not a lot listed. And a lot of them are at auction, and we don't know where they're going to end up. So this is a tricky book. This is a tricky book. Yes, it's going to be adapted. We got the news. There's a B cover variant that's like a white cover, just spotlighting the character of Shinobi. So keep an eye on that one as well. But all I can say is this book is just getting pricey. It's getting pricey, and then those high prices are what drove it up our list this week, despite the volumes being down a bit. So that's why we got it locked in at number 4. So with that, we still have our top 3 to get to. So let's just go with it.
Number 3.
And coming in at number 3, we have another new champion. Yes, we've gone through the Phantasma wave of all the Ghost Rider books from a few weeks ago to now. Everybody's gearing up for Hulkette. Why are they gearing up for Hulkette? Well, it's because we got that tease spoiler cover that was revealed to us this week that in Spider-Boy 13, which is coming out in a little bit, she's going to be introduced, and she makes her way onto that cover and into the story. So, despite the fact that this sensational She-Hulk #1, this Mirka Andolfo cover, is just a cover-only appearance, she's not in the guts of this book, we know we're getting her in Spider-Boy ahead of that new Champion series that we're going to be getting. That's going to have a few of these characters in a team-up. So, people are getting excited, apparently, and going out and chasing all of these first cover appearances for a lot of these characters. So, over 30 sales this week, hitting $20, high of 30. Hey, it is what it is. I don't know if there's going to be a long-standing value to a lot of these characters, but if you can find it cheap enough, it doesn't hurt to take that shot. I'm also not a huge fan of just the cover-only first appearances because it felt like they were just making covers just to make covers. I didn't think they actually had a plan for these characters, and I still don't know if they did at the time or if this is now a new pivot plan to say, hey, let's make something out of these guys. I don't know. Or maybe it was a long game they were playing. Either way, these first cover appearances are doing well for these characters that are going to get featured in this new series starting up very, very soon. I think in January is when we're going to get that new Champion series. So don't know if we can bank on its success. There's a lot of Young Avengers type series that have let us down over the years. Let's not forget, we all probably would have banked on, hey, a team that had Miles, Kamala Khan, and etc. was going to do great. And we had Amadeus Cho. Is anybody really going back, for that Outlaws book anymore? Maybe not so much. It is what it is, but we'll see where it goes from here. With that said, we've got 2 books left, and let's see what they are.
Number 2.
It's on here again. And yes, this is the same cover as the 1/100. It is Jim Lee. It is Absolute Batman 1. This is the foil cover. Much like the Monsters, I could have put basically any of the covers on here, and they're all doing very, very well. But specifically, I've called out the foil Jim Lee cover because this one in particular, I tracked over 100 sales. There are averaging over $20 now, highs of 30. These things, just came out last week. It went quickly from cover to selling at a premium, despite the fact that, once again, the stated run is over 200,000 copies. That's a lot of copies. And yet the demand is still greater than that, causing a surge in sales for any of these covers these days. This is looking a lot like what happened with Ultimate Spider-Man not that long ago. I'm not saying that's exactly what we're going to get, but it is looking very, very similar to that, but this time over at DC. So we'll see where this Batman goes from here, and we'll also see what we still got left on our list because we do still have one more to go, and that book is coming up right now.
And our number 1.
And it's a bit of a cheat, but yes, our number 1 is yet again Absolute Batman #1, but this time it's just the regular old cover A. Regular old simple cover A, the cover that was just out at most shops, not a variant in any way. Nick Dragotta, if I'm saying his name properly, also doing very, very well. There are hundreds sold. I stopped counting after a while because I was trying to reconcile the list when I do my research, and a lot of the counting has to be manual because otherwise, if you just trust the numbers on the eBay reports, you can get a lot of false information because it's throwing in books that don't fit. It's a tricky business, what I have to do to run these numbers for you. So just trust me when I say hundreds of these were selling this week, and now it's over $20 for the cover A, just like the foil cover. But there is a foil of this one as well. The cover A also has a foil edition, just like there's a regular limited trade dress version of that Jim Lee foil, apart from the 1/100 black and white. Any cover for Absolute Batman is doing well these days, hitting a high of $32 for this cover A. Like I said, it's looking a lot like Ultimate Spider-Man. You remember how we were doing that one too. Cover A was the belle of the ball, but then all of a sudden, all of the other covers started sneaking up here and there too. Despite the fact that there was one winner with the black suit for a while, and then it's like, no, $20.99. Similar business going on here, it seems. So we'll see if this holds. Will this keep going up like Ultimate Spider-Man did, or is this the top of the mark? Is this the top of the mountain for it? Because we do have second prints on the way already, multiple covers. And I think a third print is already on the way. But hey, that didn't stop Ultimate Spider-Man either, right? How many printings did that one get? So, with that all said, that is our list this week. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, why were there no New York Comic Con books on this list? Because I keep seeing and people talking about them. That's because I don't put exclusives on this main list, but I will be giving you a special New York Comic Con exclusive top 10 list, most likely tomorrow. If not, I'll get it to you on Sunday. But we'll do that separate because that's separate business. Not everybody gets to go to New York Comic Con, so I didn't want to alienate anybody. So we have our regular list, and we will have that special list coming up this weekend as well. But before you decide to go and turn this off or change the channel, make sure you stick around. Even though Joe and Bruce couldn't make it here, the boys will be starting up the Qualified as soon as I'm done here. So make sure you check it out, not only for the outside looking in, but for all the other fun segments that they run every Friday night after the CBSI Hot 10 show. With that all said, hopefully the boys will be able to join me next week if I can get my schedule worked out a little bit better and didn't have to do this one on the fly solo. But hey, I don't mind it. Like I said, you just let us know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you stick around for the Qualified. Come back tomorrow for the boys on Saturday night with Saturday Night Special. We got the Dark Side on Sunday. Then come Monday, I'll start us off all over again with a Wednesday watch list, maybe a Chasing Ghost, maybe another Dollarman Digging, and all of the fun stuff you've come to appreciate and enjoy here on Rennavision. And with that all said, I'll see you all later. All right.